There is no question these are the fastest motocross riders in the world. 2009 Series champ, Honda's Chad Reed. Defending champion, Suzuki's Ryan Dungey. And three-time 250 Series winner, Kawasaki's Ryan Villopoto. They lead the best riders in the world into Thunder Valley. Round 5 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship starts right now from Lakewood, Colorado.
We are just west of the mile-high city of Denver, Colorado for the 5th round of the 2011 Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship, the Toyota Trucks Thunder Valley National in Lakewood, Colorado. Hello everyone, Jason Wygant and 4-time AMA National Champion Jeff Emig welcoming you to Speed's continuing coverage of this 450 class of Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship racing. Lots of stories to follow. We'll give you the main ones here as we look at our big picture. Coming into this, we thought Kevin Windham was gone from the tour, but he has pulled a Brett Favre. After retiring last week in Maryland, he said he had so much fun he wanted to come and join us today. So Tay-Dub is back in action for round 5. Ryan Dungey needs a win. Your defending series champ, 0 for 4 through the first 4 rounds this year, but he was fast all day today. Could today be the day that he gets that first win? He'll have to do it by going through Chad Reed, who has been the king of the second motos. He's won every single one of them so far this year. We'll see if he can get moto win number 2, number 5 today in Colorado. For more on that, let's talk to Jeff Emig. Not only are Dungey and Reed and Windham and also Ryan Villopoto going to contend for the win today, they've also got to contend with the altitude, which should have a big impact on the bikes and the bodies.
Yeah, it will, Jason. The elevation here is 6,100 feet above sea level, and there's approximately 18% less oxygen in the air. So that presents a problems for the team as they try to keep the horsepower that they have, or at least minimize the damage from the lack of air density and oxygen. Also for the riders, of course, it really taxes their bodies, and you have to breathe harder, your heart rate goes up, and all of these challenges with the elevation. But everyone's in the same boat, everyone has to deal with it, and everyone's gonna have to deal with the track here, because second moto at Thunder Valley, this track is gonna be treacherous. Moto 1, the track started to deteriorate. We've seen that the corners had these huge ruts in it. It was really challenging for the riders, but now it's heated up. Bike's gonna have a little less horsepower again, and the track has gotten rougher. And the second motos, this is where it's all on the line for the overall. So let's see if Chad Reed can keep on that second moto win streak and do it again.
Going to show you how this track looks. Ricky Dietrich, we're on board with the GoPro Hero Cam. What's happening here, Jeff?
This is earlier today in P1, the first practice. Look how muddy it was because they have to put that type of moisture in it because the track dries out so much. Little double right here. The 450s are even struggling to get over that. Jumps like that triple up. You see how the momentum led you to the outside. Big downhill tabletop. And watch what happens here in this style. Look at that, 7 or 8 lines across that. Ricky's trying to ride the outside line. Riders are going to be searching here in the second moto to try to find the lines where they can keep the most momentum.
Here's the full track. Explain the layout here, Jeff.
Uphill, downhill drop off, come up here through some rollers. This is when the horsepower is key. Come off the top here, double down this, and then this left-hander right there. That's part of what we've seen earlier. These corners are going to be so difficult. The ruts are going to be chopped out. They're going to have a lot of hooks in them. You're really going to have to be strict with your technique. Then you go around that big, fast sweeper into some tighter sections of the track. Lucas Oil section here where you've got a series of tabletops. Starts to tighten up a little bit here on into the finish line back across the Makita Mechanics area.
We'll show you exactly how we go racing in Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross. We have 2 motos every weekend, 40 riders each one 30 minutes plus 2 laps, no rest. And that's a long time to sprint in this altitude. We already have the first moto complete. Let's show you the highlights of Moto 1. Off the start, a bit of a surprise. Lucas Oil Troy Lee Honda's Christian Craig on the 144 is going to beat everyone into turn 1, including the big names like Chad Reed, Ryan Dungey, Ryan Villopoto, and the rest.
And he led this race convincingly for a while, and it was Chad Reed who started second, and he was trying to put the pressure on also. He was doing everything he could do to try to get past the 144, just could not make it stick.
Yeah, look at Craig battling Reed. Reed unable to get by him. Ryan Villopoto on the number 2 takes advantage, passes Reed for second, and before long he's going to go after Craig around the outside here, which will become the inside of the next corner. Ryan Villopoto to the lead.
Yeah, things started happening pretty fast. for Chad Reed, but for Ryan Villopoto, he was just out front. And watch here at the left of your screen, the reigning champion Ryan Dungey goes down, picks his bike back up.
Worse news for Josh Grant, who was running in the top 5 position, then starts to coast. Apparently popped his knee. That was a knee he already had injured early in the series, and he was in some major pain. Meanwhile, Villopoto opening up a big lead while Dungey and Reed were battling behind him, but there was no competition for the two.
Yeah, but watch this battle here. Dungey was so persistent trying to get past Chad Reed. I mean, this is deep into the moto. Finally, really lays it down, gets aggressive, and finally makes the pass on Chad Reed.
And one more battle left, Mike Alessi versus Kevin Windham for 4th. We mentioned at the top of the show that Windham said he was done racing this summer, but he decided to come back today, and he makes a good show of it to take 4th from Alessi, pushing Alessi back to 5th. Meanwhile, Villopoto, he's got the checkered flag in hand because he has won the first moto. We'll show you the results. Dungey and Reed on the podium. Reed needs to bounce back like he has done so many times this year. And how about a full privateer, Jake Canada, in the top 10? Let's send it down to Aaron Bates with a Progressive pre-race report.
Every rider here is facing a lot of challenges due to the elevation and the heat. Chad, you were that one guy that faced those challenges. 3rd overall during that first moto. You weren't happy whatsoever with that. What happened out there?
No, just deja vu, unfortunately, of a bad first moto, you know, like it just, the last couple of weeks, it's just been kind of, I don't even know why. Just come out and I just ride tight and just don't flow. So try to regroup like we have been in the second moto and put it up there. This place has been tough for me in the past, so a podium result would be good, but the win is always the sweetest.
Chad Reed's never won the overall here, looking to do that. And Kevin Windham returns again, smiling ear to ear. Kevin, you love being out here in front of all your friends, but take us through in between motos. Things weren't so hot for you. You weren't feeling that well.
Yeah, I ate a lot of dirt, especially off of Alessi's wheel there, and actually lost lunch. So we played catch up, trying to get enough nutrients in to make the second moto. It's going to be tough. It always is. Second moto is grueling, but you know, enjoying being here. Couldn't think of any place I'd rather be. My retirement was short and sweet, and retirement's overrated.
We'll call you the Brett Favre. Brett Metcalf finished up 9th during that first moto. You were not happy with that result whatsoever. You expected to do well here. This is your style of track, Brett. What is it that you have for the second moto?
Hopefully a better result in store, but just, you know, I had a bad start and a little tip over, and man, everyone's riding well. This field is competitive. You can't do those things if you want to be up there. So, you know, we just got to get a better start off the gate and put the Rockstar Makita Suzuki up there.
All right, we'll see if Medi and Windham and Reed can rebound here in Moto 2. These are the toughest athletes on the planet. How about Windham? Throws up. He rode so hard in the first moto and says he still had a great time. That's what these gladiators put themselves through every weekend. And after 4 great rounds of racing thus far in 2011, we're set for what should be an exciting round number 5. 450 class Moto 2. Stay with us. Let's give you Rocky Mountain keys to the race on the 108 of Jimmy Albertson in returning to action, Jeff.
Take a look at it. He had a great first moto. Can he do it again?
Trying for a top 10. He was 11th in Moto 1. And Chad Reed's going to lead him. Oh, and Jake Weimer down.
Is that Craig with him?
I think that might be Christian Craig, who had the whole shot in the first moto.
Yep, 144.
Wow. So Reed out front of Windham and Dungey and Jimmy Albertson. So Albertson, that's key to the race. Get a good start.
Yeah, it certainly is. And it looks like Moto 1 winner Villopoto just behind Albertson.
That was Craig there on the 144. Lucas Oil, Troy Lee Honda, Monster Energy Kawasaki of Weimer. So they are last and next to last, while Reed and Dungey are first and next to first.
Hey, oh, more riders down here.
Kyle Chisholm and Alessi. Alessi on the right on the 800.
And that's just out of corner number 2, those rollers coming up the first hill.
That was Weston Pike on the 43 between them on the Kawasaki. The rest of the field fighting for position right now. And the one thing I've been impressed with this year, Jeff, most of the top series favorites have been getting the starts consistently. Once again, we have Reed, Dungey, Villopoto up front early.
Look at Chad Reed here, and just watch these bikes, okay, as they go around the first lap. You see Dungey starting to feel the flow, and watch how much the bikes jump around this moto. I mean, these are the best setups that these teams can possibly put out there, but the track, it's gnarly because it's dried out and it's going to be really hard packed now. And all these soft ruts have now hardened up and they get big hooks in them. So instead of being like a perfect circle around the turn, it'll be like drawing a zigzag around the turn. Notice in that section, they smoothed it out, took all the ruts out.
Look at Dungey leaning on Reed. Dungey on the number 1. Reed has the red background because he's your series points leader. He was tied with Dungey early in the year. Now, we were saying that Dungey's been shut out on victories this season, but we have to give credit. He had the victory at round 2 in Texas, locked up, but then his bike stopped running with 2 laps to go. So he has had the speed to win these things. He just hasn't had the right luck. Speaking of Ryan Villopoto, and speaking of the right luck, here he is, and he has made the move on Kevin Windham. Look out.
Practically jumped under Windham, but back to that, Dungey has won a moto. He just has not won the overall.
And as I was saying, the top, once again, your 3 fastest riders in this game right now are up front off the start. So we are set for a showdown, and now it's Villopoto going after Dungey for second.
Wow. I mean, once again, Villopoto, the first lap, made the moves, really aggressive, you know, instinctually just was able to work his way past whatever riders were in his way. It's going to be a tough moto. I just hope that these 3 can just stay in it. You know, like Chad Reed there, that first moto, kind of fell off the pace there at the end. Now's going to be the time to dig deep. But Chad did mention that he would be happy with a podium here. Dungey, on the other hand, I have a feeling that a podium's just not going to cut it. He's got plenty of those this year. It's about winning the overall and getting himself back in this championship chase.
Yeah, Reed has struggled at this facility before. You go back to his championship season 2009. I believe he finished 8th place in one of the motos and just didn't have it that day. So it's over par for him at this track, but he's your series points leader. He really expects to win anytime he goes to the gate. And right now, he's actually distanced himself from Dungey just a bit.
And look at that line that Reed used around the outside. Instead of going to all them ruts on the inside, they had taken the dozer and smoothed out that outside and made it speed up a little bit. And Chad was able to use that to get a little gap. But then see here, around this huge sweeper, he decides to use the short line.
Same as Villopoto. Villopoto used that line as well. Dungey went to the outside, so they are all over this track trying to find the fast way, Jeff.
And it looks like both of our leaders are really quick through this section, and Villopoto, whether he made a mistake or just didn't quite have the line, but it's when we get around the finish line in the start area that Villopoto has, that's where he's making magic at, because last lap around he was able to close up on these leaders, no problem.
And that section of the track is where Villopoto made passes in the first moto to get the lead and eventually take the win. But right now, the 22 of Reed, the 1 of Dungey, they are putting distance between themselves and Villopoto, but you see the countdown clock at the top of the screen. We're only basically 5 minutes into a 30-minute and 2-lap moto.
Just a short 25 minutes until we get to the 2-lap board.
Then you got to push even harder when you're already tired.
Well, yeah, and of course with the elevation here and the lack of oxygen that's in the air and how much it taxes your body, it is really difficult at that point. Plus, another interesting thing I learned is that you sweat twice as much and your sweat evaporates quicker, so you dehydrate so much easier. So it's important for these riders in between these motos to really be sharp with their hydration and to get their fluids in.
Look at Windham hanging with the top 3, and Justin Brayton in his first race this summer after an ankle injury in Supercross, coming in 5th. Albertson is 6th. Michael Byrne, Tommy Hahn, Andrew Short, Davey Millsaps ran out the top 10. But Jimmy Albertson, self-funded privateer, actually has some help from Trey Kennard, his good buddy. Rides at Kennard's house in Oklahoma. It says Trey Kennard racing on his front fender. He's making it happen right now on the 108. Here are the keys to the race. Rocky Mountain ATVMC bringing you this. What's he got to do, Jeff?
Put himself in good position. That's a start. Check. He's got that. Now there's other business to do.
Yeah, like hold off Brayton, as Reed meanwhile have to hold off the 1 of Dungey. This is the kind of aggression we've been waiting for Dungey all year. In our first moto earlier today, Jeff, you were commenting it just seems like there's just a little certain something extra that Dungey needs. Are we seeing that right now? Because he is all over Reed.
The first moto, we definitely saw that. And
now there he goes. Mistake by Reed. Dungey to the number 1 spot.
Reed back around the outside, which has been a little bit quicker here today. Let's see if he can make the move. Oh, no, slams the door there.
And as they tangle with each other, look who's coming up in 3rd, Villopoto. And it doesn't get any better than this. Your fastest 3 men in motocross. 1, 2, 3. Throw a blanket over them. This is the way we want to set it up with a lot of racing left.
It's going to be interesting to see, Jason, if Chad Reed is really going to hang it out, or if he will be conservative with this and say, okay, look, a podium finish is going to be good enough here today. It seemed like that was the way that he was leaning, but you know how racers are. We get out there and it just ends up being about winning. You know, you just don't like to get beat.
Villopoto, this is his line around the outside. He uses it in Moto 1. Reed wisely blocks it. Villopoto's on the outside again. They're going to race past the Makita Mechanics area. Villopoto switches it up. A drag race through the rough stuff. And Villopoto takes over second. Well, this is the same scenario Reed faced in the first race. He was strong in the first couple of laps, but once he got zapped, he lost his rhythm. Can Reed respond this time, Jeff?
I don't know.
Not going to be easy.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. The drive that both of our two leaders here have, Chad's going to have to do something special. You know, and right now, see when you get up to these hard sections, there's a little bit of small rocks in here. The roost, once that stuff starts to hit you, it's, man, you either got to fight for it or you're going to just back off and just be content with third place. The number one of Ryan Dungey, I guarantee he is not content with anything other than first place at this point. And of course, Ryan Villopoto, he has a real spark here today. And he is maneuvering himself around this track, you know, like a virtuoso at this point.
Reed's still right there trying to hang with these two, and he's got to hope that they maybe slow each other up like he and Dungey did a lap or so ago. But look at Villopoto. He has found that rhythm that you've been talking about, and he is ready to try to make a pass. There he goes to the inside. Dungey able to hold him back. Now, last week we were racing in Maryland, and Dungey was behind Villopoto in the first race, behind Reed in the second, couldn't make it happen. Now he has the advantage. He's in the point position. This is everything he wants. He's got the lead.
Yeah, and if Dungey is really smart with his lines and he doesn't make any mistakes, he's going to force Villopoto to try to ride the wild lines and make something happen.
So the Ryans trying to hold off Chad Reed in what should be a spectacular race today in Colorado. Hey, it's pretty cool, folks. July 13th, Adam Carolla brings his serious love of cars and his funny point of view to speed with the car show. And you know when Adam Carolla's in charge, nothing is off limits. You've heard his podcast, and he's a car enthusiast. So the car show premieres July 13th at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. I'll be watching only on speed. Comedy, cars combined. That's going to be awesome. And this is awesome as well. A battle. Ryan Dungey leading Ryan Villopoto. Huge ruts, altitude, rough track. We're reaching the second half of the second race of the day. We're going to see the best of these two.
And this is for the overall, Jason. This is it. And Ryan Dungey has not scored an overall all season long after winning the championship last year. Dominated the championship.
Aaron, what are you hearing on Ryan Dungey right now in the pits?
Well, guys, the Rockstar Makita Suzuki team are taking no chances of running out of fuel here at Lakewood, which happened to those guys at Texas. But in between motos, Mike Goosler was working on an insulation blanket, which sits in between the tank and the frame, so that the fuel won't so the fuel won't boil over due to this heat and the altitude. So it's one of those things that they're doing, just the usual maintenance as well for the bike for the second moto.
Yeah, we first started racing here in 2005, and that was about the time that these four-stroke bikes came of age, and the teams were not ready for that. The four-stroke engines are a little bit bigger, Jeff. They're right near the gas tank, and explain how that heats up the fuel, and then you got problems.
Yeah, I mean, basically, when the gas tank sits right above it, and what they do with the fuel tanks, they try to get all that weight and everything compressed to the center of the bike. Mass centralization of the weight helps with the handling of the machine and all kinds of things. But in turn, like here on Chad Reed's Honda, with that engine setting just under the gas tank, is that it heats up the fuel, starts to boil the fuel, and eventually it evaporates out the top of the gas tank through the overflow tube. So what they do is they put some insulation, some stuff, you know, off the space shuttle technology that's in there.
Hey, here's Kevin Windham, still running strong in fourth. Aaron, what are you hearing on the 14?
Still running strong in a very quick retirement. Eric Kehoe, the team manager at Factory Honda, informed me that last week Kevin was so indecisive, he wasn't sure exactly what he wanted to do, but he told Kevin Kevin told him right before he had left, keep my gear bag. And he said, why do I want to keep your gear bag? And he said, I'll call you this week. So he was very indecisive of whether or not he wanted to come back. And this weekend he's sporting an indecisive butt patch here for Moto2.
Yeah, well, he's had some really, you know, convicted rides here. It's just been awesome. But let's clarify that he was retiring for the summer.
Yes,
not for his career.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
yeah, he was going to be back for Supercross for sure in January, and didn't rule out coming in late in the year and maybe racing some more outdoors. Now I don't know what the limit is.
well, yeah, and he rides with such a natural ability. He's so efficient on the bike. You can see by his technique. He's just so smooth. And if he keeps himself free of injury, which he did a couple years ago, and it looked like he might retire, but now he has just been awesome. And you talk about awesome.
Yeah.
First moto, this is a guy that got overlooked. Early in the moto, on our timing and scoring, Tommy Hahn showed up as 38th. And then a few, 5 or 6 laps later, he was inside the top 15, and then eventually finished up with an 11th. And I said, okay, it must have been a transponder issue.
No way he passed that many guys.
I spoke with Tommy here on Moto Concepts Yamaha. He says, no, I was 38, and I rode my butt off, and I'm really happy with that. The team also informed me that his average lap time was inside of the top 5, even though he finished 11th. That average time was some of the best of the moto.
Okay.
So right here, now he has his chance to redeem himself after falling at Budds Creek in the first moto when he was running 5th, starting way back in this moto. Now is the opportunity to put that Yamaha up inside the top 5.
Hey, we finally have found Davey Millsaps, who was so strong earlier in the year. Had a rough one last week in Maryland and a rough first moto today. Aaron, what are you hearing on the 18?
Well, Davey Millsaps has actually been sick with a sinus infection for the past 2 weeks, and I guess it got more severe this week. So his doctor did put him on some antibiotics, but because of his kidney ordeal, he's not able to process the antibiotics correctly. So anything that's got no coating on it is what he can take to get himself a little bit better. But during that first moto, Benjamin Schurmeyer, his mechanic, changed up a front brake guard and a front brake rotor guard due to his crash, so he's very frustrated and looking for redemption here in Moto 2.
Yeah, we saw Millsaps in that Makita Mechanics area early on, and he finished 24th in that moto. So illness, a little bit of bad luck with the bike. Finally, we're seeing Davey Millsaps going fast like he did early in the year. And Brett Metcalf, man, we're waiting for this guy to catch fire. He's been solid this year, but this was the guy that was contending for wins in 2010. Right now, Metcalf is in the number 7 position, and he had an injury, a wrist injury in Supercross, so maybe not quite at 100% when this year began, but you expect to see more from Medi as the summer goes on?
Oh yeah, and he needs to improve his starts. He had to ride from behind the first moto. He was 9th, and he was over a minute behind the leader, and he cannot be happy with that. But if he starts up front, he can run inside the top 5, no problem.
All about the sounds here at Thunder Valley. You hear the 4-strokes thundering through the valley. And about 15 minutes from here, you can go to Red Rocks, the famous natural concert amphitheater. Ryan Dungey leading the way. Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship Racing in Colorado. When you go to Colorado, you know you got to deal with the altitude. Earlier, our own Jeff Emick broke down the difference between racing in sea level and up in the mountains.
The elevation of the track here at Thunder Valley is about 6,100 feet above sea level. And to get an idea of what sort of horsepower loss these 450 machines will have, we can use this basic horsepower loss calculator. So you got 6,100 feet times 0.03 gives us 183, times 60 horsepower at sea level gives us 10,980, divided by 1,000 gives us a horsepower loss of almost 11, or 18.33%. And to get a sense of what that's like for the riders, let's hear some of their comments.
Well, for all the riders, it's kind of the same. So everyone's bikes are, just a little bit slower just due to the altitude. But yeah, it's the same for everyone. It's just, a little less horsepower, harder to get over some jumps. But it makes it fun. You can go a lot faster, and I feel like you can race a lot harder. So it's cool.
The bike is down on power. It's just starting for air, and they're just really slow. So everybody on the team everybody knows that already. So they do everything they can to make it the best they can up here, but it's never going to be like it is down at sea level.
With the power being a little less up here, we kind of go up on tooth on the rear sprocket. If we have any power left in the engine that Suzuki or Yoshimura can get us, then we throw it at it, and we've already done that, so we're at the limit.
You're down on power a little bit, which makes you ride a little bit harder because you're down on the power, and the altitude gets it out of you too. So those 30+2s are definitely probably some of the toughest motors we do all year here in Colorado.
Well, and still there's another factor in this whole thing, which is called corrected altitude, which is based upon air density and barometric pressure. If the air was really good and it was cold and dense air, it could actually make it feel less than 6,100. And the teams use this handheld weather station to figure out exactly where they're at.
It's not cold and dense today.
The Gibbs guys at the Muscle Milk Toyota team told me that the corrected altitude today, earlier today, when it was not as hot, was 6,000. So it's playing right into that 6,100. The engines are starving for oxygen, along with the riders, and right now Chad Reed is starving for some rhythm.
Yeah, once again, he was a little bit stronger in the second moto, ran with Villopoto and Dungey for a while, but not for the entire race. And about 10 minutes ago, they started to distance themselves, and the gap is 9 seconds between your leader and your third-place rider, Reed.
Yeah, well, Reed's a veteran. He's a champion, and every now and then, I mean, he knows that coming here, you know, that he just has never had good vibes, never had a good ride. He told us third would be good enough, a podium. And sometimes you know, you got to just back it off and ride within yourself, and that's having a smart ride.
Wyndham, what a ride for him. Smart, strong, and he could have been at the lake hanging out, but as you said, he didn't go to the lake. Instead, he went to Lakewood, Colorado. And fourth, he's been a fourth-place guy pretty much all year long, and that's impressive because outside of that top three, you've got a lot of talent, and Wyndham's overcoming that.
Well, and a veteran like this is so valuable to somebody like Team Honda. First moto, Josh Grant, in his second race back from an injury, has another injury to his knee, and so he's not in. Of course, Trey Kennard, one of their other younger star riders, is out with injury. So to have a veteran like Kevin Wyndham, that is no doubt the fan favorite.
Absolutely.
To have it there is awesome.
Yeah, and we don't know. Maybe they might have to tell Wyndham, you have no choice, you got to come race, because Grant might be out for a while. We don't know the prognosis after that knee injury. Let's look at Tommy Hahn, still in fifth, still chugging along.
And this is what Tommy is capable of. A week ago at Budds Creek in the first moto, he closed up on the back of Wyndham, correct? It was putting on this fantastic ride. He was just a click off of Chad Reed, who was in third, and he fell down and he injured his ribs. But he's back here this week, putting on another strong ride and a top 5, and that's awesome. He's at about a 2:19 lap time. Only problem is Davey Millsap's about a second quicker right now, and another Yamaha rider here on this Muscle Milk Toyota bike.
All right, so Millsap's trying to run down Hahn to get into the top 5. Millsap's had a podium early in the year in Texas, around 2 at Freestone, and we thought he might be able to give Reed, Villopoto, Dungey a run, but the last 2 races, last week and this one, not where he wants to be. Then you've got Metcalf, see on the yellow 24, coming through next. He is 7th, and behind him is Colorado's own Andrew Short. Man, those
Look
ruts
at those
are deep.
ruts. Seriously, did you see that? It makes it tough because all those ruts have a little bit different personality to them. And not every rut has the same bump in each spot, and it actually changes, you know, throughout this moto.
That's a rider who is a lap down there, and then you will see Short on the 29.
Boy, what a challenging month Andrew Short has had with his child Hudson, the baby boy, having eye surgery.
Yep.
It sounds like everything has gone well, but then earlier today, he goes out and crashes in practice.
Yeah.
Bumps his head, says it wasn't that bad. He's feeling a little sore, putting in some solid top 10 rides.
Well, Andrew Short wants to do it for the hometown folks here, and not going to be able to put it up on the podium today, but like you said, he's got a lot on his mind lately. Maybe in the second half of the year, he'll be able to put that orange bike up there. Now, some of the fans are here cheering for Andrew Short. Some of the other Colorado natives get to go skiing in the summer, if that's possible. They're at 12,000 feet of elevation. Make a weekend out of this. Come and join us live next year.
You're watching Motocross on Speed! Woo!
Here's Michael Byrne here, the veteran, number 26 out of Australia on the BTO Sports Butler Brothers Suzuki. He has worked his way up into the top 10, battling with Justin Brayton. Brayton was in the top 5 early, but here is Brayton losing a couple of spots. The 945 is a kid out of New York, Michael Stryker. He's got a lap down, but Brayton is struggling a bit here.
Yeah, he's this is his first race back after an injury, so you can see fitness and all that stuff's going to be tough to be in shape. But Michael Byrne also caught him when he was over that big uphill triple. He was looking ahead to see who was the next rider in line, which would be Andrew Short.
We'll see if Burner can keep moving. As for Brayton, if you had an ankle injury, You don't want to run a track with these ruts, do you?
Well, you're going to be more conscious of it. Right. You're going to be very, strict with your placement of your foot on the peg. And you're going to be a little bit apprehensive when you get into some of those deep ruts.
How about Jimmy Albertson? Broke his leg in January. Finally back to racing now over 6 months later. And was 11th in Moto 1, and he's 11th so far Moto 2.
Got to be happy with that. It's a pretty solid ride. I mean, okay, so good position off start, check. Push hard for the first half of the race. I believe that he's done that. He's kept himself in a pretty good position. Brayton is obviously on his way backwards, so if he can keep pushing hard and maybe pick off Brayton or another rider falls, could get a top 10 finish here in the second moto, be right on the border, but he could possibly get a top 10 overall.
Well, Brayton was 14th in Moto 1, so depending on how the points work out, Albertson might be top 10. But how about top 1? Ryan Dungey was dealing with a lot of heat from Ryan Villopoto at the midway point of this race, but he has answered the call here. The lead is 5 seconds. That's not a lot, but it might be enough to hold on and take the win.
What Dungey is doing is inching himself away from Villopoto. Just slowed down a couple seconds on that lap. Look at that, 3 laps to go. Mike Gosler, of course, legendary mechanic for numerous champions. Chad Reed, Ricky Carmichael. These guys know what it takes to get done, and they've been second a lot this year. They've been in the hunt, but have not been able to notch an overall win. And I think back to my '96 championship, I was second to Jeremy McGrath in a lot of races in the first half and picked it up in the second half. Maybe Ryan Dungey doing the same thing at this point.
Well, this is a statement. Reed and Villopoto had their chance to beat him, and they weren't able to do it. That's why this guy's got the #1 plate. Can he keep it going? We're going to find out. Checkered flags not far away. The big hitters of baseball. Here's the big hitter of AMA Pro Motocross right now, Ryan Dungey. He's had to prove himself. A lot of doubts last year, Jeff, when he won this title, but Reed and Villopoto weren't there to challenge him all year. Can he beat them straight up? He's doing it right now today.
Yeah, and speaking of big, we have a huge crowd on hand here today in Lakewood, Colorado. Beautiful day. I mean, just absolutely gorgeous. And the motocross fans here, they've just came out in droves, and they've been treated to some unbelievable racing. At the top of your screen was a green bike. Ryan Villopoto, who was about a second faster than Dungey last lap around. So now 3 to go. Well, almost two at this point. Desperation is on. Ryan Dungey is trying to nail all of his lines. He's trying to keep that momentum going, not let up on the intensity, because Villopoto is doing the same thing as these guys are battling for the overall. 2-lap board right there on the finish line.
Now, we see what's happening in the race right now, but I want to ask you about the bigger picture. Momentum in the series. Dungey's had some frustrations this year. Does Villopoto know that if Dungey wins this race, he could potentially get on a roll? I mean, are they thinking more than just about these 2 laps? Are they thinking about how this one race could affect the rest of the year?
Well, I think both of the riders here, first and second, have both had frustrations. But today, the rider that's going to leave here the most frustrated is going to be Chad Reed, because he sets in third, and he just did not have that spark, especially here in the second moto, that he has had in the previous 4 rounds.
Aaron is in the Makita Mechanics area with Ryan Dungey's mechanic. Aaron?
That's right, guys. I'm here with Mike Gosler. Mike, the moment is just about here for you guys. It's taken 5 rounds in. I know you don't want to get your hopes up right yet, but what would this mean to you guys after all the hard work that you put in?
Everybody works so hard, and this would be a great boost for our team. But we've been so close so many times, it'd just be good to get on a little roll.
You know Ryan so well. What would this do as a confidence booster as we enter the halfway point of the season for this championship?
I think it'd help anybody with their confidence. It's just the points is so close right now, though. Even though we're winning, it's really good to win, but the points aren't going anywhere.
Cross your fingers, just a few laps left to go.
And he talks about points. They're all about winning the championship, and he knows, Mike Gosler's been a championship mechanic for a long time. A lot of championships under his belt, and he knows that what it takes to win the championship in AMA Motocross is to win the motos. That's when you get the 3-point gap between you and second. And, for Chad Reed, he's third, so that would be a 5-point gap.
Now, what's funny is, maybe this track is the rebound for Ryan Dungey. From basically 2009 through the end of 2010, Ryan Dungey was unstoppable. He won every championship he competed for, and he concluded the 2010 season by leading Team USA to victory at this very track at the Motocross of Nations last September. Dungey won that one, capped an amazing 2-year run, but ever since then, it just hasn't quite been the same for him? Could this track, could this win be the spark that it takes for Ryan Dungey to get the mojo again?
Undoubtedly.
Really?
Undoubtedly. You win, you feel that confidence, you feel like, okay, we've got the bike sorted, I'm working together as one with the bike. Now I know I can beat these guys. I'm not questioning what I'm doing during the week. I'm not questioning the setup on the bike. Unbelievable rhythm that he has had today. How he has maneuvered the bike and let it flow around on a track that, I mean, it's really rough out there right now, and especially those corners where you have to stand on the pegs. You have to be really patient as you're trying to keep your momentum through. But Villopoto has kept him honest. He's only about 5 seconds behind right now, and they've been at that pace. So Villopoto has not backed off. He's trying to capitalize on any sort of mistake that Dungey would make here and allow him to slip into the #1 position once again.
Jeff, I'm just watching him come down these hills with that kind of speed. Bike's bouncing around. If he gets 4 or 5 inches off to the right or left, he's going to miss those ruts. These guys are on it.
Look, I've been in this mode before. I've been in this position, and you work so hard to have the fitness, to have the bike set up, to have the mental capacity, and to build that flow. And I can tell you now that when I ride, that flow is not there like what these guys have, and I miss it. You know, it's just, it's so difficult, and these champions make it look so easy at times. It's very deceiving watching it on TV.
Villopoto has run a great race. He has been hammered down all the way. He just this time couldn't make the move. And Dungey has answered the question, can he do it against Villopoto and Reed straight up? He's doing it today.
Well, Dungey, you can see him being a little more cautious. He takes a look over his left shoulder in that tight 180 to see exactly where Villopoto is. But if Villopoto keeps the hammer down and Dungey's a little too cautious here, he can close that up. And then that's when you start to worry about the mistake. But so far, so good. A one-hander. Dungey feels pretty confident. He's got this one in the bag. And I'm telling you, this is a huge win for Rockstar Makita Suzuki and Ryan Dungey. This is a big weight off of his shoulder.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's great about the way this series is shaped up, we're going to be 5 rounds in, and you still aren't going to be able to pick a favorite between Reed and Villopoto and Dungey. They have all beaten each other straight up at different times this year. This is an amazing championship fight beginning to materialize. Ryan Dungey wins at Lakewood.
Takes a look over his shoulder right there. Yes!
Man, does that feel good for this team who has battled back from adversity to get this one. Villopoto takes a solid run for second, and they congratulate each other. Well, one way it's over. We've completed the racing in the 450 class of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship, but in many other ways it maybe has just begun. It's been a rough 3/4 of the 2011 season for Ryan Dungey, but with this win today, could this be that little boost he needs to get on another hot streak like the one that carried him to the championship last year? Let's review this race with our Lucas Oil race recap. Well, Chad Reed had the early lead. Dungey was all over him. Reed makes a mistake, and Dungey shoots into the #1 spot on the Rockstar Makita Suzuki. Watch Reed try to fight back. He knew he had to be stronger in Moto 2 than Moto 1, but the Ryans just wouldn't make it easy on him. Villopoto then able to blast past Reed to take the #2 spot. And Villopoto was on his game in this one. He was all over Dungey.
He definitely was, but it was Dungey taking your checkered flag and the overall today. First time this season.
And he and Villopoto congratulate each other. It was a heads-up duel. They both charged all the way to the wire. Dungey wins by 3.8 seconds after about 36 minutes of racing. And Aaron has our winner on the podium. Aaron?
Ryan Dungey did exactly what he set out to do. Ryan, you knew coming in here what needed to be done. What does it mean to get the monkey off your back?
To get that win means a lot. You know, 5 rounds in, and should have came earlier, but you know it's racing. But just got to throw it up for Team Rockstar Makita Suzuki. We've been working our butts off, and this win feels really good. You know, I just try to keep continuing it, but bike was awesome. Got to thank the man above and my whole family. It's feels good to get this one.
Congratulations on such a terrific day.
Well, if Dungey does get on a streak, these are the races that he's going to try to win as part of that streak. Next week, we will be at Redbud in Buchanan, Michigan. The coverage will be on NBC at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Then we take a break. We're back after a weekend off Millville, Minnesota. Coverage on Speed at 11 p.m. Eastern. Washougal live on Speed at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then Unadilla in New Berlin, New York, once again on NBC. That's your Toyota moving forward schedule. And every one of those races is going to be great with the way Reed, Villopoto, Dungey just keep pushing each other in each and every round of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. Ryan Dungey and rockstar Mikita Suzuki have done it. They're #1 again. Welcome back. 6,000 plus feet of elevation here in Colorado, and these fans, man, they were treated to a great show. Ryan Villopoto, Ryan Dungey pushing each other all the way to the finish of the second moto today. Ryan Dungey able to break through and get a hard-earned victory, and we'll show you the results here in this one. Chad Reed, 1 minute 3 seconds back at the end. That's not what he wanted. Kevin Windham is actually right behind Reed at the end. There's the rest of your top 10. Brayton did hold on, put the 10 in 10th. Let's send it down to Aaron Bates with your runner-up.
Coming into today, Ryan Villopoto's sole focus was on that second moto. Ryan, you didn't manage to take that victory, but second place isn't so bad. Are you happy to come away with this result, considering how challenging today's track was?
You know, we're at altitude. The bikes are slower, and it gets to us towards the end of the motos, but yeah, I'm really happy the second that second moto was my best one all year so far, and it's just going to get better from here. So, you know, it seemed like I was quicker in one part of the track and he was quicker, so we played cat and mouse most of the race, and just couldn't do anything with it. But I can't thank everybody at Monster Energy, Kawasaki, Dunlop, Thor, Alpenstars, Oakley, Vans, Maxima Rental, Falcon Tires, Volcom, and Specialized, Trainer, my fiance, everybody, thank you.
When you go home, what is it that you work on this week so you come back stronger for moto #2 at Redbud next week?
Just motos and training, and we just try to squeeze as much as we can into the short weeks, and still stay fresh when it comes towards the weekend.
Anything you can to give yourself a little extra edge. Congratulations on a great day.
Let's show you the progressive whole shot replay here, Jeff. Chad Reed going to control it.
Yeah, Chad Reed gets just the edge out on Kevin Windham there on the inside. First moto whole shot right here, 144 in the middle of your screen. Watch him. He connects with Albertson and goes down, takes Weimer with him. So Craig could not back up that great first moto he had because of this first turn here in Moto 2.
Craig and Weimer would fight back for 15th and 16th in that moto. Let's give you the overall results on the day. When we combine Moto 1 and Moto 2, you see Dungey and Villopoto actually tie in points with the second and first, but that's all right with them because they make up 7 points in the day on your leader, Chad Reed. And Jake Canada, top 9 overall. Well done. Let's send it back down, Aaron.
Chad Reed got the whole shot, made a little bit of a mistake out there, which Ryan Dungey capitalized on, but Chad, you just lost your rhythm out there today, like you had said during Moto 1. What do you do from this, and what is it like putting this race behind you?
It's good, you know. I've always struggled here, but no excuses, man. It's a track where you need starts, and Honda's always been strong here, so kind of pressure was on a little bit, but man, that CR 450 rips up that start straight, and it's by far the best bike I've rode in elevation, so I just struggled in the ruts a little bit. Those guys were really, really committed, and I just didn't have pace. So 3.3's safe at this point, and yeah, I got a little work to do, you know, work on that. And just give a huge shout out to all the guys at 22 Motorsports, Bellray, guys at Honda, PC, Dunlop, man, Shift Fox, Etnies, you know, just everybody who helped me out. And yeah, I'm stuck with the podium, and you know, I always want to win, but podium will do.
Here's a look at the series standings, and Reed, the lead's been cut about in half between he and Villopoto, but that podium finish helps preserve the #1 spot in the series, and that is the goal, to be consistent on your bad days. Dungey making up a little ground too.
Yeah, sometimes you have a good third, and sometimes you have a bad third. That's a good third.
Fuel your passion for motorcycle racing with Speed Motorcycle Text Alerts powered by Yamaha. You get the latest moto racing results and breaking news as soon as they become available, and we'll send them right to your phone. So text Moto to Speed 3 for the alerts now. For example, we give you an alert that says Ryan Dungey wins big in Colorado. So there is your podium. No surprise what 3 riders are up there. Reed, Villopoto, and Dungey have been the fast boys all year long. The difference is the order. Dungey finally has a win, joining Villopoto and Reed in the winners column this year, which means this championship is only going to be more intriguing as it rolls forward. Great day of racing in Colorado. Great weather, great fans, great track, the best riders in the world. And we're so glad you folks were able to enjoy it with us. For Aaron Bates and Jeff Emig, I'm Jason Wygant. Thanks for watching Speed's coverage of the 450 class of Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross. Congratulations to Ryan Dungey.